anniversary celebrations started with one of the most significant festivals in the Hare Krishna movement, the Festival of Chariots, or the Ratha Yatra Festival, which is performed every year in Durban and around the world.
Krishna is carried on a great chariot. There are ropes, and all of the people, they pull those ropes. The idea is that we have forgotten our loving relationship with God, with Krishna. And by pulling that chariot, we are pulling Krishna back into our hearts. That represents Vrindavan, where our relationship with God is very intimate and loving and full of affection. In these times, as society becomes more materialistic, people are less inclined to visit the temple or the mosque or the synagogue or the church. In the Ratha Yatra festival, the deity comes out of the temple onto the streets to see the people, and goes down the road, past people's houses, past their work, past the stores where people are shopping. And so in this way, the Ratha Yatra festival is an expression of God's love. Even for those that can't come and see him, he goes to see them.
The extravagance and size of the festival is a far cry from its humble beginnings on a farm in Cato Ridge outside of Durban, where the first Hare Krishna temple was built in South Africa in 1977. The farm was a base to reach out to people in surrounding areas and was a safe haven for a mixed community living during the apartheid regime.
Serving the spiritual master in those days in such a country was like we didn't know what was going to happen next, and when he arrived, everything was like magic.
The founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, came to South Africa in 1975 to promote the movement in the country.
Srila Prabhupada came with a spiritual quest to liberate people from material bondage that were not this body, with spirit souls. He knew the political situation because Gandhi was here. Still, he preached quite openly. He said that this black and white is nonsense. This whole thing about the segregation and all this was nonsense. And he said it on a public platform. And he wasn't persecuted for it because he had a spiritual foundation for it. He taught like this: if you have your own faith, please follow it. Please follow it. If you have a name of God, chant that name and be happy. Praise the Lord. Give, time and space to chant the holy name of Krishna. If you have some other name of God, then no problem. But ultimately, Lord Krishna, he explains in Bhagavad Gita, all paths lead to the same, and I accept prayers from everybody, no matter where they're coming from. All the prayers that are given and all the worship that's given to God go to one God. They just come from different sources. Bhagavad Gita basically talks about the science of the soul in the beginning, chapter 2. And so that's the fundamentals in understanding why we're here, who we are, what is our duty, the nature of the soul, and as spirit souls, what is our duty on this planet. Prabhupada, when he was here in South Africa, he was reflecting. He said, I see the future here in South Africa. There is a temple, there are deities, and it's a Vedic temple.
The elaborate Sri Sri Radha Radhanath Temple of Understanding, situated in the heart of Chatsworth, was completed in October 1985 and opened its doors to the public with one of the grandest opening festivals the city of Durban had ever experienced.
The temple architect is an Austrian devotee. In his vision for the temple, he accommodated many ideas from the Vedic architecture. The traditional are the domes, the 3 domes of the temple. You'd see that in Vedic architecture. The contemporary, if you look at the lower level of the temple, you'll see a lot of windows, small windows, which create the busyness of office and modern living. And the futuristic, if you look at the cantilevered stainless steel dome, you'll see that there's a futuristic vision. So all three of these elements have been included in his design. And even though his temple was completed in 85, still it looks very futuristic. In fact, if you look at it at night, it looks like a huge transcendental spaceship that's here on this plot. Around the temple is constructed a moat. The moat signifies the ocean of material nature, and over the moat is a drawbridge. We walk across that, leaving the material nature and entering into the spiritual nature, which is the temple room. The pictures on the ceiling of the temple room represent various pastimes of Lord Krishna. These pictures were drawn by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada under his instruction, and Srila Prabhupada referred to them as windows to the spiritual world. Actually, it is said that in the spiritual world, every word is a song, and every step is a dance, and every day is a festival.
One of the major ceremonies performed for the anniversary of the founder's arrival in South Africa was an Abhishek.
The Abhishek is a Sanskrit term for a bathing ceremony. The deity of the spiritual master is considered to be non-different from the spiritual master himself. The deity is installed under auspicious circumstances in the temple, and the deity is worshipped by the devotee, respected and worshipped, and therefore we don't consider it to be an ordinary statue. Now we feel and we understand that Srila Prabhupada is present in his deity, or in Sanskrit, murti form. So on the auspicious anniversaries, commemorations of the spiritual master, his appearance or disappearance, birthdays, and important events like this that commemorate his arrival, then the deity is offered the bathing ceremony, and then a worship is offered to the deity.
When the festival commemorating the anniversary of this temple's opening 20 years ago was planned, then it was also decided that we would have a fire sacrifice as well, in a way to remember the opening of the temple, but also to rededicate the temple to Krishna's worship and to request his blessings on this temple and the people who are supported by this temple. In this way, the environment of the temple is purified and its purpose is established, that it is a place of God, that it is a place of spiritual sanctuary for the people of this country and the communities that will come and pray and take advantage of this facility. Someone may wonder, this seems primitive, to worship God in fire or in a tree or in a rock. It may be perceived like that, but in different spiritual traditions, this understanding is there that God is omnipotent and omnipresent. He can appear at any time, at any place, where his devotees pray to him in love.
Another ceremony paying tribute to Lord Krishna was the boat festival.
Around the temple is a moat. The moat represents the lake in which Krishna and Radharani were performing their pastimes. And a beautiful swan boat has been created for that. So on that boat, on that swan boat, the deities of Radha and Krishna were taken around the moat, reenacting the pastime, the boat festival of Radha and Krishna.
The highly charged atmosphere generated throughout the anniversary festival is a measure of success that would surely eclipse the biggest and most extravagant of Durban's